Who's going to be the best team in the Pacific Division this season? We got all the hosts together to break it down.
You are Locked On NBA Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, welcome into Locked On Warriors. This is a Locked On NBA crossover edition. We got all the panelists from the Pacific Division in one room, minus Matt George of Locked On Kings. He could not make it. Everyone else there, respectively, talking about their teams, finding out everything we need to know about this division. We're free and available wherever you get your audio podcasts. You can also check us out on YouTube. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm your host. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly of 95.7 The Game. That's the flagship of the Golden State Warriors in the Bay Area. Also covered the team on TV for CBS in downtown San Francisco. Let's waste no more time. Let's head to the panel.
Fellas, we're missing Matt George from Locked On Kings, but the Kings aren't going to win the division anyway. How are we doing?
It's the most Kings thing ever. That just to let people behind the curtain, Matt George, the host of Locked On Kings, was actually the guy who organized this Pacific Division show, roped all of us into it, and then ended up not being able to make it, which I feel like is just a metaphor for the Sacramento Kings, like taking 2 steps forward, 11 steps backwards their entire franchise history.
It's literally their light the beam season. You know, they arrive, they take on the Warriors. Everyone's got cowbells in the stadium. We think they're taking the next step. And then, you know what? Mike Brown, you're gone. We're not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've seen some of the content Matt has done, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to meet this guy. The Kings deserve every bit of awful things that happen to them for the next decade straight. We not only like Andy's letting him off easy here. Not only did
Matt's
this
my
guy organize this whole, he's not my guy now after this. After he not only organized this whole thing, we pushed back the time for him, and he still didn't show up.
That is true.
So I hope whatever tattoo he's getting of Malik Monk on his arm is going well. But hopefully that guy gets traded, so it's even worse there. So
maybe we can talk about it. Should he get a Jonathan Kuminga tattoo?
Oh, goodness gracious.
So I guess let's just start out by asking a very simple question. Who is the best team in the Pacific Division? I'm going to start with Locked On Suns because I don't think you're going to say yourself if you're reasonable by any means. So what's your pick?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to say the Clippers? They win a lot, don't they, huh? Warriors over the last couple of years, they've kind of fell off the cliff. And the Lakers, had they not fallen ass backwards into Luka Doncic, wouldn't be in the position they are now. But thanks to Adam Silver. No, yeah, we're probably not going to win the division. But you know what? This team, I think, is being underrated to some degree. I love what the Suns have done to add players to this team. Because if you would have told me the roster they have now at the end of last year, when we were looking like we were going to lose Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant for almost nothing, this team has added Rasheer Fleming and Kaman Malawach, and Jalen Green is here, who, maybe there's something there. Devin Booker goes back to being the one. I don't know if this team's a playoff team, but I do think they're going to be better than next year. It's just hard to say at this point if they're going to be true contenders in the division or be a team that's a true playoff contender, because I think they'd have to be, I think it was 13 games better than they were the year prior. And subtracting Kevin Durant and adding 13 wins, even though, the guy doesn't like me that much. He's a top 10 basketball player of all time. I'm not going to be that crazy. So I think the Suns are going to play spoiler a lot in this division, but no, being a team that's going to win it, probably not. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be Andy's Lakers. Andy.
Okay, Lakers. I'd argue he dislikes me more
That's
for
a
one,
long
by the
way
way.
to say
Kevin
Lakers.
Durant definitely dislikes Darian more.
He really danced around.
Yeah, well, what do you want me to do? If there's one team I hate more than any team in here, it's the Lakers. No team falls backwards into success more. It's absolute nonsense. Outside of Austin Reeves, they can't develop their own players, and when they do, they trade them away. Anthony Davis was fun for the bubble championship that universally no one agrees with. And they took away my favorite player of all time in LeBron James and made him a Laker. So now I hate him too. There's no reason that they should just get rid of that team. Anyways.
Wow, those are some harsh words. I mean, if we're talking about, and this is me just playing devil's advocate. I mean, if we're talking about developing over the years, I mean, the Lakers have developed a lot of talent over the years. If we're not,
Yeah,
we're talking,
who?
how far do you want to go back?
I would love to go back. D'Angelo Russell, he worked out well. Lonzo Ball worked out well.
You're talking about 10 years. What about Andrew
Brandon
Bynum?
Ingram worked out well. Wait,
What about
listen, you said how far back you want to go. I just decided to go as far back as we needed to.
Do you want to go back to like James Worthy and Magic? Does that count?
Oh God, yeah. Okay.
What?
Players that were around before my father was born doesn't count. God, what are we, Cowboys fans?
Your Laker fans are even more crazy with that type of stuff.
The Lakers
Go ahead, Andy.
the Lakers must be really set well to win the Pacific if Ben is this pissed off, seemingly with nobody bringing up anything. He's this mad. But
I think the answer, who's going to win the division, Andy, right, is it's anyone but the Kings or the Suns. I think it's a three-horse race.
Yes, completely.
I said on a couple days ago on Locked On Lakers, if you asked me which team I think in the Pacific is going to win the division, I actually think it is going to be the Lakers, all accusations of homerism aside, just because I think when it comes down to it, they have the best. I think they have the best single player in Luka of any of the three teams. And for three teams that I think are relatively evenly matched, health assumed for all three, that could be something that would break the tie. I do think, though, those three teams are relatively close to each other. They were relatively close to each other last year in the standings. The Lakers and Clippers had the exact same amount of wins. I believe the Warriors were 2 behind. And I think it's going to be relatively similar this year as well. But I think at the end of the day, the Lakers have I think they have a bit better of a roster with the top end of their talent. And the Clippers, their collective age and the whole Kawhi of it all on a bunch of different levels is something to be concerned about. And the Warriors, here's what I would say is the difference between all three teams. The Lakers have two of their three best players are still in their prime, whereas you can't say that about the Clippers and the Warriors. And I think in terms of the battle of attrition, that could be the thing that breaks the difference.
You saying Brandon Pajimski's not in his prime?
I don't think he is yet, is he?
Are you saying he's better than Draymond or Jimmy?
No, but we all agree Steph's in his prime. Ben, I want you real quick to tell me why DeAndre Ayton's going to be a great fit for the LA Lakers.
Oh God, I can't tell you.
Please,
I can't tell you how great it was to go on national TV a couple of weeks ago and just slander DeAndre Ayton's name and the Los Angeles Lakers. It's a major upgrade over Jackson Hayes. That I can't disagree with. But it's like going from a tricycle to a 67 beat up car. It's your first car. It doesn't run really well. But it doesn't have AC. But heck, at least it gets you somewhere.
DeAndre got you to one of the two finals your franchise has been to.
Yeah. DeAndre Ayton was the driving force of the finals. And then the very next year when he was on a milk carton, he was missing. Against the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, I don't know about that too much.
He's part of your franchise's history, whether you like it or not.
Anyways, DeAndre
DeAndre
Ayton is going to be good to the degree with Luka Doncic, meaning he's going to be able to catch those lobs. But DeAndre, and he's going to do, he's going to put up a double-double, and then DeAndre Ayton truthers will tell you, look at how good he is. He put up a double-double, but they won't actually watch the games. Every game you're going to be watching DeAndre Ayton, and maybe the first game you see, and you're going to be like, man, there's something there with DeAndre. If he just does this on a consistent basis, or maybe plays a little bit more aggressive, this team could really be a team to reckon with in Western Conference. But he'll never do that. He'll come out in the press conferences. He'll get defensive. He'll say he's going to be dominating like he did here in Phoenix, and then he'll be gone. And this is where the DeAndre Ayton narrative is just funny, because I remember watching Lakers fans tell me how much of finals favorites they were, even if Andy wasn't there, when Mark Williams was traded there. And then when the Suns got him for less, I might add, it was, the Suns overpaid for Mark Williams. How could you do that? The Portland Trailblazers, after one season with DeAndre Ayton, what do? They drafted his replacement in Donovan Clingan. After the second season of DeAndre Ayton, what did they do? They said, we'd rather pay this guy to get his ass out of here. And that's what they did. Like it's a fine signing, but it ain't gonna move the needle for the Lakers. I'd probably still take the Clippers to beat them. And that's actually no hate there. I dislike Bradley Beal too, but
Clippers
at
to
this
beat
point,
the,
Clippers are
but
better.
you picked the Lakers though.
Did I pick the Lakers to win this division?
Yeah, I'm okay with you switching.
If I did,
He
I
said
did, it
LA.
was
He
out of
said
spite.
LA. Go to the
I
tape.
yeah, that was
He
that.
said
You guys,
LA and pointed to Andy. Got his host
I
mixed
get
up.
my bad. I think the Clippers are probably the best team here.
All right,
Sorry
well,
about that.
coming up, we're going to get Charlie and myself's answer about who the best team in the division is. Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. After my house burned down, I did not know what I was paying for. And I checked, and I had been $300 in debt to the YMCA, and I was not even going. So I had to get that checked out. Monarch Money really helped me locate my finances, and it's built for people with busy lives like myself. I was also paying for Apple TV, and I hadn't watched an Apple TV show in months. So Monarch Money really helped me straighten out my finances. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's a 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. All right, back here for the ultimate Pacific Division preview, except we don't have the Kings, although their starting lineup
To be fair, isn't that make it the ultimate Pacific Division preview? That
Right.
the Kings aren't here. Sorry.
I'm looking at their projected starting five, and ESPN is saying Keon Ellis, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. So, if all things go perfectly, maybe they're flirting with a 10 or 9 seed type of deal, I would think. But let's get Charlie's.
Keon Ellis is going to have a nervous breakdown with all of his defensive responsibilities with that
Literally.
lineup. Oh my God.
But maybe though having him start will, and I guess we'll show the Kings a little bit of love. Maybe having him start will improve their defense a bit, just because Fox had a lot of offensive responsibility. Now you have your two designated point of attack guys in Keegan Murray and Keon, but then you have three players that are really just offense only guys with DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Sabonis, and their bench. Of course, you got Malik Monk, who's great, but no more Jonas Valanciunas. They have Devin Carter. I don't know. I think they're going to be the bottom. And by the way, just to talk about the Suns for a sec, I do agree that they are being slept on a little bit. I think Dylan Brooks is actually going to add a lot of toughness and grit to that team and be able to, guard the opposing team's best players. But Charlie, you made a good point. It's really a 3-horse race in terms of who wins the division. Give me a read on how you feel first about who you think is going to win it, and then you can expand by talking about the Warriors.
I think it's probably going to be who's healthiest. I think if the Warriors remain healthy all season and you get, let's say Al Horford joins the team, DeAnthony Melton joins the team, and you can get 50-plus games out of all 5 guys that you would assume are extremely important veterans. Horford, Draymond, Jimmy, Steph, DeAnthony Melton. You get 50-plus from all of them. You get some sort of resolution from the Jonathan Kuminga saga that doesn't wind up being disastrous. And the equivalent of the punch that led to a really bad Warriors start where they were just, it was funky to begin that season. You avoid that. You get slight improvements from Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody, and just healthier Podziemskis and Moody's, because they had their issues throughout all of last season. Quentin Post, he could knock down some threes. Buddy Hield, he can knock down some threes. All of a sudden, you go through the roster and you're like, all right, they could stretch it with Horford. DeAnthony Melton can shoot. There's some intrigue there that they could be the best team in this league if healthy. But I'm probably going to stick with the Clips for now. I just think that they were riding high towards the end of last year. I thought they should have beaten Denver in that first round. I really liked them to go to the Western Conference Finals, and they sputtered a bit. I don't think Bradley Beal necessarily brings a ton to the table, but hey, Brooke Lopez, you're getting a little retirement community going there. I'm just not 1,000% sold on the Lakers. I thought, to be honest with you, Anthony Davis was really good, man. Anthony Davis is really good.
He's very good.
At least when they played the Warriors, they had their number with AD, and once Doncic joined the lineup, as good as Doncic is individually, I just thought that at least from a Warriors perspective, they became slightly beatable. And I don't know. I mean, it will come down to the Ayton acquisition and how good he is this season.
Here's the thing. I mean, and I know Ben brought this up as kind of a shot against Ayton, but the truth is, even if DeAndre Ayton does not improve a single thing that the detractors use against him, some of it I think is valid. It doesn't matter because he's that much better than Jackson Hayes. Like DeAndre Ayton is a legit starting center. Jackson Hayes is a back end of the rotation or out of a rotation NBA center. Like the difference between the two of them is massive, and he fits really well for, in particular, centers that can thrive with Luka. So, and I say this just because what you were talking about with the difference between him, like the difference with the Lakers post AD, that is definitely true. But at the same time, they were operating without a true starting center. DeAndre Ayton isn't Anthony Davis. I mean, he clearly is not, but he is much closer to Anthony Davis than Jackson Hayes was. And I think that difference is going to be really tangible.
So I'm just curious, what do you think Ayton adds to the Lakers that they didn't already have outside of he can be a pretty good lob threat for Luka?
The Lakers desperately needed more rebounding. He has never averaged less than 10 rebounds a game.
Yeah, he does grab 10. He's 7 foot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not looking to pin a medal on him. I'm saying he grabs rebounds. They need rebounds. I'm not looking to create a DeAndre Ayton statue, but you ask me what they need. These are the things that he needs. He can operate with more offensive utility than Jackson Hayes did. You know, like he can do more than just catch lobs. He's got that mid-range game. He's got that little jump hook that he can go to. He is a better defensive presence in the lane, a better deterrent than Jackson Hayes was. Again, none of this makes him a Hall of Fame candidate. I don't need him to be a Hall of Fame candidate. I don't need him to be somebody that was worthy of a number 1 overall pick. That's the Suns' burden to bear. Like the fact that he was the wrong pick. For the Lakers, they just need him to be a legit starting center. He is.
And I think it's, somebody who on pick and rolls, if he doesn't get a lob, for example, he catches the ball in the middle of the paint. Jackson Hayes, if he catches the ball in the middle of the paint and his man is actually,
there's nothing for him to do.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Ayton can, still turn and shoot that little jump hook. He has that little push shot. He gives you a lot more offensive utility, as you said, whether it's throw the ball. I mean, I don't think with Reeves, Luka, and LeBron, you're gonna be like dumping it down to Ayton and looking for him to make a play, which you saw him do for Phoenix here and there, but it's just about that he actually has like touch. Like Jackson Hayes really has no touch, doesn't really have NBA skill to me. He's just a raw athlete. But so we have 2 votes for the Clippers, not counting me. So I'm obviously going to vote for us to win the division. And the reason why I say that is because, and I'm not saying that the Clippers are a real championship contender. I think the age thing is relevant, but I think, one of Luka or LeBron gets injured for a certain amount of time. That's going to be a huge loss. Steph or Jimmy Butler goes down, or even Draymond, it's a huge loss. The Clippers are the most equipped. If they're losing one of their top guys, they now have replacements. We've already been used to playing without Kawhi. He only played 37 games last year, and we won 50 games. James Harden and Ivica Zubac were depended on a lot, but now we have replacements for them. Zubac goes down. You now have a guy in Brook Lopez who is a declining player, but he's never come off the bench in his entire NBA career. He's still good enough, I think, to start on a bad team, for example. He's still a solid player. And a pick and pop big, the Clippers have not had a pick and pop big since Ibaka, who really didn't get a chance to show himself as a Clipper because he had back injuries. And then if James Harden gets hurt, which knock on wood, I mean, one thing about James Harden, you can say whatever you want about him, but he's durable. He gets injured. Now you have a guy in Chris Paul who just played 82 games. Although he's old, he can still help you win games in the regular season. And by the way, funny enough, Chris Paul has played for 3 of the teams on this stage. I think
he's traded all 4.
Yeah, traded all 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be on all 4. Traded to one of them.
Yeah.
But
hashtag never forget.
The Clippers have legitimately, of these teams, I think the deepest team. There's 11 rotation players on this team.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bogdanovic is going to miss some time with the injury he suffered at Eurobasket, but Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., these guys were excellent defenders last season and helped us get a top 3 defense in the league. John Collins gives us an element that we just haven't had, a big athletic forward who had a great year in Utah, can help us crash the offensive glass. Aaron Gordon dominated us in that series last year. Now we have somebody who's a little bit more at his size, and Zubac's having a backup. I think that's huge. And even though his name is, in the mud right now, as of now, Kawhi Leonard is healthy to start training camp, which is an advantage because he's still a pretty damn good player.
One might say it's something for him to aspire to. Sorry.
Coming up, though, we're going to talk about each team's biggest weakness. What is preventing you from saying that your team will have a successful season or as successful as the expectations might say? Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. And OpenPhone lets me separate my business calls and texts in a single app. And the shared inbox feature is a game changer. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's OpenPhone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, talking Pacific Division, seems like the majority thinks your LA Clippers, if you're a Clipper fan, are going to win the division. So I love to hear that from the people. Now, what is your team's biggest weakness? What is the big thing that's scaring you about your team? Let's just say when fully healthy. Let's not use health, because I think as a Clipper fan, I think that's the biggest concern on my end, even though I kind of contradicted that
What
by
about
saying
age or health and age? Did those correlate?
I think, is that what you're going to say for the Warriors? Because that's
What
clearly
about
the thing for the-
flakiness? Because that would also be Clippers too.
by who's flaky?
Flakiness?
Kawhi?
Well, that's King Flake. The other two would be Harden and Bradley Beal, and when things actually matter, or the fact that Chris Paul, as much as I love the dude, tends to get hurt every year in the playoffs. So I mean, that is something.
Are we talking about the playoffs though? Because I think we're too old to do anything more than win a series or maybe 2 at best in the playoffs. I thought we were just talking regular season.
Oh, I thought, well, no, we could do the regular season too. I was going to loft up the fact later on of which team do we think in here has the greatest chance to actually win the championship, because winning the division and the championship are the same thing. And that's why I was saying weakness wise, I think there is some flakiness that comes in the playoffs with that team where, outside of those 3 players, I think that's your identity, is you kind of are who your best player is, possibly your second best player. And a lot of that comes in big moments, playoffs. Those guys just tend to not work out.
Who has the best assets at the deadline? I would say that's the team that has the best chance to win it all.
These assets you speak of,
Not,
I don't know what that is.
not the Clippers.
We really don't have many.
I'm just going to stay quiet when we're talking about assets.
Right now, the Warriors don't have any. And if one of these 3 teams can't find something to bring in at the deadline, I just don't think. I think the West is too tough, unless there are a bunch of injuries elsewhere. I mean, Rockets. Whew. Nuggets,
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see with the Rockets.
It's an interesting way
tier,
to,
fellas. We're in that second tier.
Oh, cool.
We're in the 3rd tier, buddy.
Who's the first? You think there's any team though? Who's in that first tier besides the Thunder? Do you? Denver and Houston?
Just maybe not even Houston yet, because
you can't put them in there yet.
Losing Dylan Brooks hurts more than I think people are giving him credit for, because he was the perfect Ime Udoka player. I think Durant. I mean, obviously you make that trade, but let's see him play a game first before we crown him. But Nuggets, we know the Nuggets are going to be legit.
Yeah, I think that's pretty consensus. What about the we can talk about them briefly because it is Pacific Division, but Minnesota, how do you guys feel about Minnesota? They lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but they still have
They keep winning, right?
they're a good team.
And Anthony Edwards is only getting better every year, so
Anthony Edwards, when we did our top 100 rankings, I caused a bit of a stir with the Locked On Lakers audience, but I had Luka at 4, which I think they were okay with, and that matched the overall consensus with all of our hosts. What pissed them off is I had Ant ahead of him, which was a bit of me projecting towards the end of this coming season, but it's also just Ant's development as a two-way player and his ascension as a two-way player. He I think is the best two-way superstar in the league. Like, as far as guys who are at superstar level who play both ends.
Giannis?
And Giannis, though, I consider descending. I consider Giannis descending
Okay.
at this point, at least potentially, if nothing else.
Mhm.
Yes, and DeAndre Ayton, obviously. But not to get too far down the track of the Wolves, but just because we talked about it, I think they might be tier 1.5, but they're a really good team.
And I was gonna say, if you were somebody who'd never watched basketball before, though, and you watched your series last year, there's no way you can say that Ant wasn't the best player in that series.
Ant was really, really good.
So,
Mm.
but going about what Ben said though about the playoffs, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this on my channel probably, but I think if everything went well though for each team here, I think the team that has the best chance of winning the championship is the Lakers, just because of Luka being the closest to his prime. Kawhi,
God, that is so annoying because it's true.
yeah, because
I don't
James
know,
Harden,
dude. Steph was so damn good when Jimmy joined last year. He was, I mean,
do you feel like
that
you're
was-
too old though, Chuck? Because I feel like we're just a little too old to realistically win a title. Like, you put us against the Thunder, they have Lou Dort, J-Dub, Caruso to guard Kawhi and Harden. They're gonna slow them down a little bit. Like, that's my thing. I think the Clippers could contend with any team in the West in a series except for the Thunder. I just think they're too fast, too young. Their best player is now better than our best player, and they have the point of attack guys. I mean, the thing is, if you have James Harden on your team, this is my problem with him that I've had even before he came to the Clippers, and all his stands can't stand me for it because they just don't like the truth. Every team that has James Harden lives or dies by James Harden, because you put the ball in his hands, you make him run the show, and when his production slows down in the playoffs, that you've played that way the whole season. Although Ty Lue's made comments about, we're going to have Kawhi from the beginning, we're going to play a different way, it doesn't matter because Harden refuses to play off the ball. He refuses. So, and his extent of playing off the ball is standing on the wing and being a hesitant catch and shoot 3-point shooter who's always shot a good percentage on the catch and shoot threes, but is not a willing catch and shoot player. And don't even get me started with him not moving off the ball. So it stagnates your offense. You're by default as the coach, you're like, well, he's better on ball than off, so we're just going to give him the ball. So, yeah.
Chuck, this is the question I would have about the Warriors, whether you're talking about the playoffs or full season. Do you think that there is a way that they can figure out how to get utility from Jonathan Kuminga in ways that actually benefits the team? Because the biggest concern I would have about the Warriors, their big three, their collective age, but also there feels like there's such a gap between those three and everyone else. And the guy that has, I think, the most potential to kind of bridge that gap and elevate it is Jonathan Kuminga, the same guy that Steve Kerr clearly does not want to play unless he has to, but he's also in some ways the missing piece. Like, that situation is messy on a bunch of different levels, but do you think that there is any way for them to find some type of compromise? Because otherwise, I just feel like the regular season is going to end up exhausting your big three.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, I go back to like exactly a year ago, or I guess, November, December, those months when before Jimmy Butler joined the fold, and Steve Kerr let Kuminga run, man. I mean, he was getting 30 minutes a game. He was putting up 30 points. There were some games where Kuminga, I think against the Suns and maybe the Nets back to back, but he went for 30 each game, and Draymond Green went to the bench.
Everyone did that
All
against
signs
us.
were pointing to Kuminga. He gets hurt. And the ankle injury, he comes back. Kerr's trying to work him into the lineup with Jimmy. They don't have the ability to lose at that point because they're fighting for a playoff spot. They don't want to be in the play-in. So if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? And the DNPs didn't make sense because it's like, really, you're going to squeeze in Pat Spencer for 4, but you can't get Jonathan Kuminga in a must-win game against the Clippers, like 5 minutes of runtime. So that didn't make any sense. But I do believe him face value. If this can be rectified and he comes into the season with a good mindset? Because I have no idea. As of right now, it's just the reports that you hear that he doesn't want to be in Golden State. Then you hear if he gets that player option instead of team option, it's play ball and he's in for the mission, whatever that may be. If they can get just something from Jonathan Kuminga buying into a role, I do think that Steve Kerr is going to play him early in the season, because why wouldn't he? Last year it was a completely different story, to where playoffs, it's do or die. You already have your rotation set. Guy Santos is playing meaningful minutes. I mean, there's going to be a camp to where they can work in Kuminga. Everyone knows what the Warriors want to do. It's raise his value as much as possible. For Joe Lacob's sake, he's like, raise it as much as possible. So it forces Steve Kerr to keep him on the floor, and this guy's handed the keys. For everyone else's sake, and for a lot of the fans' sake, it's just raise his stock to the point where someone wants him, and you could potentially package that together with maybe Moody, maybe Buddy Hield, maybe they don't have many $8 million, $10 million contracts to package together. But, I mean, you're looking at $35 million player you could potentially add in if the money works out that way.
So, Chuck, I would be in a lot of trouble if I didn't ask you this, because the Suns fan base, I think right now it's a little bit of low sports self-esteem. So when you see Jonathan Kuminga, you're like, get that guy on the Suns. Let's say that the Suns somehow swindled the Warriors into getting Jonathan Kuminga, and you guys took on Royce O'Neal and, Grayson Allen, whatever, some bad contracts to take back for Jonathan Kuminga and some second-round picks.
4 of them.
You can take 5 of them. Sure, man. Have fun. Knock yourself out. Kuminga, here's my thing. This is on the outside looking in. Not an efficient basketball player, kind of subpar defensively. He's long, he's tall. I see the talent, but what is like the thing that has this is another reason why I don't understand why the Warriors don't actually call, if they didn't have a better deal with the Kings on the table, why they wouldn't call up the Suns and say, Royce O'Neal kind of fits what we do better. Yeah, it hurts to kind of give up Kuminga for this, but let's just give him to the Suns. They've made such great decisions recently. What am I the one missing it? Is this just this budding star that is just being kept down by Steve Kerr and is just waiting to blossom? Because I'm not seeing that. And I just recently, yesterday, said, you know what? I think I'm out on the Kuminga thing. Even if it wasn't going to happen, I think I'm kind of out on it.
I kind of like players that they say the ball has energy, right? And you got to make quick decisions. Processing, it's a huge word in the game of basketball. And it doesn't always hurt him, but he's slow in that regard. And the Warriors work off a quick processing system. They always have, to where you get it, you grab it and go, you penetrate, you swing it. You don't stand there without a purpose. Jimmy Butler's the perfect example. He comes in, and every time he catches the ball, he has a purpose. Even if he's standing there, I promise you, he's got the vision to where he sees something going on behind the scenes and whips it down low, back door, boom. Kuminga's not necessarily doing that. He gets the ball and he gets kind of tunnel vision, but he's got talent. You can have that.
That's
that
the
kind of
dilemma.
mindset and
That's
still
the
have a lot of
dilemma.
talent. He can score. He's got a nice turnaround game. Could be better at finishing at the bucket, and maybe that's something he adds to his bag. In transition, he's lethal. I think he does have the ability to be a really good defender, just his switchability. You saw him in the playoffs against Anthony Edwards, and like he had that bounce that Edwards had. Edwards was kind of having fits shaking him. So there's a lot to like about Jonathan Kuminga. There's just not a lot to like about him with the Warriors this minute. And unfortunately, he wants to be a part of the plan and the future and all that good stuff this minute. And
why don't they just move on from him then?
Jimmy Butler.
Why don't they just move on from him? Like, in all reality, I think we could probably agree that the Warriors probably
they want to win an NBA championship, and the only way they can win an NBA championship is by somehow trading him at the deadline for a $30 million, $25 million player, something.
Okay.
Because they're most likely not going to have enough. And if they trade him right now for, say, Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen and some second-round picks, that's not doing it. So your best opportunity
you don't know that.
is to kind of take the Hail Mary and hope that this can work out. And clearly, if they're keeping him, they think that they can salvage this thing. But again, the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green thing happened. There was clearly no chance that was ever going to be salvaged, and that they rode it into the season and all season long. So maybe they don't know what they're doing. I don't know. We'll see.
The Kuminga situation is interesting, man, because I think you guys have a pretty good offer on the table from the Kings, but I think that is exactly what you're saying. I just think it's interesting because the Suns already, Jonathan Kuminga truthers are very much in the Suns need that extra score here, and I would agree
They're
with
not
that, but the
Suns
dude's
Kuminga
not very
truthers, they're
efficient.
just JK truthers. There's a lot of them out there, and they're a strong and loud.
Are they all stupid? Because I just kind of think they're all dumb.
They're gonna attack me in the comments if I say anything. I plead the fifth.
Okay, I'll tell them. You guys are stupid.
Well, if we had more time, I would ask Andy about if he has any doubts about if the Lakers' perimeter defense is good enough. They have Marcus Smart, and they're relying on Marcus Smart, Gabe Vincent, and Austin
I have
Reeves.
concerns. I'll just leave it if I have concerns. You
Is that
asked
your-
before the thing that could be the biggest issue for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Defense just broadly. Defense lack of enough two-way players. That's the biggest problem.
Yep. Lost Dorian Finney-Smith, but have Marcus Smart now, although he's had a lot of injury problems recently. So we'll see how that goes. Last year, Austin Reeves and Gabe Vincent were their primary defenders, and that did not work out too well. But offensively, they'll have shot creation for days. Seems like the consensus is the Clippers are winning the Pacific on this program. If you guys want to keep up with all Pacific Division teams, check out Locked On Suns, Locked On Warriors, Locked On Lakers. Subscribe to all of them. And, of course, right here, Locked On Clippers.
Not Locked On Kings. Don't check out that show.
Show Matt George some
Boycott
love.
that show. Boycott that show.
We'll show Matt George some love if you want. Clipper fans and people that love James Harden already hate Matt George. He knows that, but I like Matt. They do, but I like Matt George. So you guys should go subscribe to Locked On Kings. They're not going to have a very good season, I don't think. So just give them a subscription. So peace out, everybody. Have a great night and enjoy your weekend wherever you may be in the Pacific or around the world.